Welcome to Meeting of the Moms, a place to talk about all the things. I'm Lorna Adams. I'm a wife, mom, and certified life coach. I think being with people makes anything a party. Thanks for coming to ours. I'm here with my good friend Amy. For years, we've spent the early morning hours running and talking together before diving into our days.
Hey, I'm Amy Rasmussen. I'm a teacher by profession, a wife and mother by choice, an optimist by nature, and happy by design. Here at Moms, we believe the world is wide open to all of us and that we have unlimited potential. We're so glad you're here.
It's Saturday of Labor Day weekend, and my planning of this weekend has been kind of interesting, so I just thought I'd tell you about it. Nelson and I were going back and forth about what we wanted the weekend to look like and what we each wanted to do, what we wanted the family to do, all the things, right? And just a lot of those feelings of where you're like, well, I have mixed feelings, or I'm torn on what I want to do. And one thing that I noticed is, and I said to him, I think when we have these 3-day weekends where I know the kids are all off of school and I know you don't have work, I am automatically thinking, oh, what are we going to do as a family? What kind of thing are we going to do? And I think at times he is thinking, sweet, I have another day off. What can I do? Like kind of personal renewal, right? Because of the number of hours he's gone working, and he's like, this gives me an opportunity. So that's, I guess, maybe the very first thing that I'm curious about, if you have thoughts on how you and your spouse navigate realizing like, oh, we have this time off coming up, or this time that could be a potential family time or couple time or whatever. Do you guys ever have those differing things, right? Where one of your brains is going on one track and the other one's like on a completely different track.
Yeah, I think we do for sure. I think similar to what you guys were doing, right? Going back and forth. I think that we end up doing that similar type of thing. There have been some holidays, like we have talked, and it seems like Memorial Day and Labor Day, both of those we've kind of tried to be a little more mindful of. I feel like President's Day, it doesn't seem like we've tried to do things regularly. I think it's winter and we're just kind of happy to stay home. Like, oh, good, we don't have to go to work or school. Let's just hunker down and enjoy being home. Seems like that's kind of been our tendency. But the Memorial Day and Labor Day, we've had more of like, okay, what can we do? What do we want to do? What do we want it to look like? So yes, but I think it is kind of going back and forth. And really, too, in our relationship, Bart is more of the idea guy, and I'm more of the supporter, which I'm sure doesn't surprise you because of what our friendship is as well, right?
Right.
But so a lot of the times he'll come up with the ideas. Once in a while, I'll offer something, and then sometimes we'll run with it or not. But typically, he's the idea guy. And I just like, it's fun to do something. So yeah, what do you want to do? Okay, cool.
Right.
Let's do that. Right. So that's how it's a little bit different for sure in our relationship. But tell me more.
Well, and I think, I mean, you're calling him an idea guy, but I think you're very much I'm up for all kinds of things kind of girl, right? So it's not so much that you would never have an idea of something you wanted to do, as much as it is I'm up for a lot of things, this will just be fun. True. So just kind of a fun way to think about it. So I mean, that was one layer and level of kind of thinking about what to do. And then we came up with a bunch of different ideas. And I was like, here's a bunch of ideas that I have in mind. And then that was one day. And then on another day, he's like, okay, so I liked your idea about this. I see how that could be fun. I would really like to do this climbing. I mean, he loves climbing and he has a route he's working on. So he's like, that is important to me. And he communicated a little bit more. He's like, I was super close on that route. Like a foothold broke on his last move on this route. And he's been working on it for a long time. So it was kind of like, are you kidding me? And that was just earlier this week. And so he was like, I for sure want to go up there and try the route again because I am right on the cusp of doing this hard route. So he kind of communicated to me a little bit more of what was important to him and why, which was helpful. And then I was able to communicate to him why things were important to me because I'd brought up camping. I was like, we have not camped for a long time. And I think it would just be good for us to go camping because sometimes camping's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to get stuff together, right? And can feel kind of overwhelming. And I'm like, let's just get back over that hump and like go camping.
And
Go ahead.
I do love the idea of camping. We are not campers. My husband does not like camping. Since we've been married, he has said, I don't like camping. I don't want to go spend a lot of money to go, he says, like, live like pioneers. Like, why are we going to do
Yep.
that? This is not
That was
fun
my
for me.
grandpa. He's like, we spent all these decades and years, hundreds of years getting to where we are. Why are we going to run back out there and live like them? Yep,
Yes,
I get it.
exactly. And so I totally get that. But I also think there is something about being in nature and a lot of times your phones don't work. Like
Hmm.
service isn't available. So it is just lots of time that you just get to be together, sometimes alone in your own
Yep.
thoughts, sometimes hanging out. Anyway, I do like that concept. I think it is so good. But yeah, keep going.
Just plan a girls' camping trip, just so you know. So that's another topic off camera at some point. But it's like as we were exploring this whole thing and I talked about camping, he kind of just wasn't up for it for a variety of reasons. And he's like, if you really want to do it, then maybe. But then as I was thinking about different things some of the kids had and how that would kind of affect our timing, I'm like, well, that isn't really great. And so I was having to think about what is the point here. So number one, if we go camping, I want a campfire. And so Nels brought up there's campfire restrictions, so that's not even going to work. I'm like, okay, that's really helpful information, actually. And so, okay, if we can't have a campfire, then I am happy to postpone camping because I want to be able to sit around a campfire. But then on that same day that he was telling me about some of the ideas, that I'd had that I would like and some of the things that were important to him, he's like, by the way, campfire restrictions got shifted. Um, and he's really on top of that since he works for the Forest Service in the fire area of things, right? So that's always on the radar. But he's like, it got shifted, and you can have fires within a fire pit that is created in a campground, not one we make with rocks, but like the big cement ones, right? So it's like, oh, okay, back on the radar. So, but I just had to do some of my own personal kind of digging a little bit through what is it that I'm wanting to do here? Is it about the camping? Is it about the campfire? Is it about being out in nature? What is it about? And I realized I came down to I want to do something with all five of us in the family that is family focused, and we are putting us as a family first sometime during the weekend. Like that is what I want. Does it have to be every living, breathing second of the weekend? No, but that's my base idea.
I love that you were able to get to what the root was. Like what was it that you're really seeking, right? And I think sometimes we don't slow it down enough or
Yep.
break
We
it
don't
apart
take the
enough.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really what it is. Like I really just want to spend quality time together and whatever that looks like, or I mean, and you're going to have ideas or whatever, how that can look. We're putting our family
Right.
first. What do we want to do? Anyway, I love it. I think
Yeah.
that's so good. So helpful. Like such great
Yeah.
information.
Well, and what was super interesting is just to notice, like, okay, I'm disappointed that he's not on board for the camping because really, of the two of us, he is absolutely more into all things outdoor. I mean, I enjoy some of those things, but I mean, backpacking trips and climbing trips and camping, all the things, right? So it's not like I'm trying to talk someone like your husband into it who's like, you are fully aware I hate camping or whatever, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
this is something we've done over the years. We just haven't done it for like months and months. So, I just noticed my own little, up and down of like, okay, I'm feeling disappointed. But now, as I think about camping, if I could get stuff ready with the boys, do I want to do that? And I'm like, that feels exhausting to me. Okay, that's a good thing to pay attention to. So just so many thoughts and feelings that were like coming up. Like this at this point, it feels like it's kind of exhausting because I know where the boys are going to be. And if it's all on me, then no, that's not going to work. I need it to be a family effort. So just kind of
Yeah.
sifting through all the things. So once I kind of came to the understanding of where I was at with myself, and I wasn't just sitting here thinking about it and writing about it. I was doing life, and it was just kind of there, rolling around in my brain. Um, I came up with this on Friday, and well, before I say that, my husband also said, "Oh, well, on Friday, I thought we could go on a date. I thought we could drive over to a town that's 45 minutes away. They have an Indian restaurant that's doing. We could try that." And I was like, "Oh." Camper, do I want to go on that date? And we haven't gone on a date for a little bit because life got kind of crazy. And so then I'm like, okay, so now that's another thing to consider, right? Then I had another family idea. I thought it'd be fun to go to Marysvale. They've got a pizza place called Tomatoes, and the pizza's yummy, and they have a bike trail that's paved, so I could ride it on my road bike, and my rest of my family could use their mountain bikes or whatever. But then I found out they're not open on Monday. So it was just like one thing after the other as I'm just trying to kind of figure out plans. So as all those things were coming together in my mind, I I was thinking, well, it's Friday. The weekend is here. I need to figure some stuff out. I knew Nels was like out of town for work. They'd had to go to Price or something. And so I sent him this text. For the weekend, I'm thinking, what if we prioritize like this? Number one, us times, do our date on Friday, like he had the idea. Or whatever it was, like, because he had told me with all my driving, I don't know if I want to drive again. Maybe just go out to dinner closer, whatever. But something where we get to go out and just connect. Two, what if we meet individual needs for you and for me? So that would mean he gets to go climbing and then I choose what to do with, meeting my needs. And then three, we do something as a whole family. And here's what was cool about just kind of coming up with I guess that priority list, right? Like, what if this is how we prioritized our time? And this I explained it to one of my kids when he was asking. I said, if mom and dad aren't renewed and connected, that affects the whole family. So that's why we're going on a date. Then I said, if individually mom and dad are not renewed, that affects the whole family. The way we have stuff in our family, dad has to be able to go back to work Monday. I need to be able to move forward on all the ways that I'm running the household and everything else, right? And it's important for us to connect as a family. So it was just super helpful to kind of pull all the things apart and then come down to, just for myself, an idea to share with Nels about like, what if we prioritized like this? And again, just like a question, it's not like we'd already decided that's how we were going to do it. And maybe for some people, that's an automatic every time. That's always how they're thinking, that works for them. That's great. But I don't think that that's always how a lot of us are being able to prioritize what we have going on.
I totally agree. I feel like a lot of the times I think we're busy and overwhelmed. And so
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, we want to do something. What are we going to do? I don't know. I don't think there's a
Hmm.
whole lot of thought exactly like what you're saying. And it is interesting when you can slow it down and be like, oh, wait, but really the priorities are these things. And if we do those,
Yeah.
then actually Monday and Tuesday are going to actually feel way better because we've done these other things and
Right.
we're prepared for the week. Anyway,
Right.
awesome. That's so
Right.
good.
Yeah. So anyway, it was just kind of an interesting kind of whole series of things. And then really part of it too is like I love sitting in the possibility stage and all the ideas. But at some point, you've got to say yes to some things and no to some things. You can't do
Right.
everything, right? So then I sent him another text and I was like, okay, ideas for us time. We can go ahead and do the date idea you thought of, or if you don't want to drive, we could do this or that or whatever. Then as far as individual needs, I want to support you in your climbing goal and just let you have the day to go and do at whatever amount of time that looks like. Just go and do it. Here's some things that are important to me that would be personally fulfilling for me on Saturday. And then the kids have these different things that actually they might really enjoy having some time to have that personal renewal and fulfillment. And then here are some ideas for what we could do on Monday. I thought it was just super helpful that I ended up going through that process because I think sometimes too everything sounds fun or everything sounds great or even like for me I'm like I want us to go camping because of a lot of what you said, right? Just the way that we can connect when camping, and it's been something we've really enjoyed as a family in the past, but being able to shift sometimes really takes us being able to figure out what was at the core of the initial desire or idea in the first place. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
anyway, and I'm in the middle of it. It's Saturday, right? We haven't finished the weekend, but we did go and do our date yesterday. And it was really nice because now I'm not wondering the whole weekend, are we going to go on a date? Are we going to try and squeeze it in here? Or are we going to try and squeeze it in there? Or are we just going like, we're not doing it again this week or whatever? So at this point where I'm like right in the middle
Yeah.
of things, that's where it is. And it'll be interesting to see where I'm at the end of the weekend.
Yeah, totally. Well, and so is Monday everyone is available, and so that might be a family day. Is
Yeah.
that kind of where it's going,
Yeah.
where it's landing? Okay.
Right, right. I mean, that's our plan right now. So I am working on this. That was one of the things on my list that could be personally fulfilling. Nels has left and he's going climbing. He met someone, so he gets to try that. And today's still kind of being a little bit organic for the three boys and me. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at in the mix of it.
Well, and it's nice because with a 3-day weekend, there is extra time, right? And so then
Hmm.
to be able to take time for all the things, I think is so helpful. And I guess too, I want to say, like, we haven't said one thing about Sunday. And Sunday is probably, you
Yep.
kind of have your Sunday routines, I'm guessing. And so
Right.
that's not necessarily a day where I think if it was a short weekend and you still want family quality time, maybe you are doing something a little bit different on Sunday afternoon. I mean, your family goes to church, right?
Right.
And so
Yep.
then maybe Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening could be used, but then to have the extra day on Monday and decide we're going to do something as
Yep.
a family on Monday. And what are we going to do
Right.
with that? Anyway,
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Like I think that's a good point. We didn't really talk about Sunday. And I mentioned a couple things about, I mean, we talked a little bit about Sunday, my husband and I did, as far as just like keeping that as a time when we can just rest. People can take naps if they want to. Maybe we'll play some family games or whatever, but we weren't going to drive to Marysville and do our bike ride and try and go to the pizza place. That's not really how we tend to spend our Sundays. And so some of those things were out, right? So we were looking at some of those things that we'd want to do that would not fall on Sunday for us,
Yeah.
even though some of the other kinds of things could.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like games and going on a walk or whatever.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, and I think there is value in trying to be a little more proactive. And you've shared the quote about Gretchen Rubin has shared the idea of be easy to please, full of
Oh,
desire and easy to please.
right.
And
Yep.
I think that sounds like that's exactly how you've approached the weekend. Like, I have some ideas. What can we do? And then try to be workable, flexible with what does come up, and then, hold that throughout the whole weekend. So, anyway, good
Right.
ideas. Good
Right.
job.
And interesting that I didn't necessarily start there, right? I started with the very specific, let's do this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I'm curious too, now that we've gone through my whole thing, you're having kind of a unique Labor Day weekend too.
Yes.
So I'm curious where you're at, how you guys came to be where you're at.
Do what we're doing. Well, and the funny thing is, too, we have talked about for the last few years, probably, we have said, let's have Labor Day as our family holiday. When our kids are adults and kind of doing their things, let's make
Mhm.
sure that we hold on to Labor Day as a time that we can all get back together. The
Okay.
interesting thing with that idea is we just dropped daughter number 3 off
Yeah.
in Logan 2 weeks ago. It's a kind of a trip to get home.
Right.
She's not going to drive back where she just barely
I mean,
got
it's
there.
over 3 hours, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And daughter number 1, she's in Provo. She's not gonna, I just dropped her off on Thursday. She's not gonna come
Right.
back today. She
Right.
actually did make plans. So it doesn't make sense this year to have everyone come home for Labor Day. Daughter number 2's in Brazil. Of course, she's not gonna come home. She's serving a mission. She's in like 2 days. She's at 1 year. She'll be at 12
Oh,
months
cool.
in
Yeah.
2 days. So that's exciting. But and then my son is home, right? So knowing that's the goal is to let Labor Day be a family holiday. We also know it's not quite the right season yet.
Right.
Once the kids are, once things are rolling a little bit more, yes, I think it can totally work. And we want to hold on to that idea just because it would be fun to have an opportunity to get together. But so then with those things, that's why other young adult kids aren't home. And we went to a golf match on Tuesday for my son. That was an hour and a half away, spent the whole day at the golf match, came home. It takes like an 8-hour day. And then
Right.
Thursday, same thing. I was in Provo all day. And so it just didn't make sense to try and plan something that
Yep.
would require us going somewhere. So my boys are happy. My husband and my son are happy watching football today. It's the first day of football, college football, and they plan on golfing this afternoon. And so then this allows me to have this time with you and we can work
Right.
on podcast stuff. So anyway, and some weekends it might be a little more frustrating. In the past, maybe this type of a weekend would be more frustrating to me. But I have tried to shift it into, okay, what do I want to do? If that's what they want to
Mhm.
do, what do I want to do? And so kind of along your same lines of renewal and fulfillment, what would be fun for me? And so
Mhm.
some of those things are like maybe I want to watch a movie on my own this weekend. Maybe that would be fun. Maybe I want to pull out a novel. I do love just like clean romance. I'll read some of those from time to time. And a long weekend like this might be a perfect time to do it. I don't want to do it during a normal week just
Right.
because sometimes I get sucked in and don't want to do other things, right? But so maybe this is the weekend that I do that. Or even a friend had reached out yesterday about doing something last night, like going on a walk. And so I'm like, well, maybe I'll reach out to her later today and see if that could work out. Right. So just looking at things that can still be fun and fulfilling for me as they're doing things that are fun and fulfilling for them. And yeah, and not letting myself be bugged or whatever, because really we're all excited about a weekend. It's been a full week
Right.
for all of us.
Yep.
And so then let's just enjoy what we can make it. Any thoughts?
Yep. Well, just that, I mean, some of this, there was some communication at some point or some understanding with your two older girls that it doesn't really make sense for you guys to pull out all the stops to come home on that particular weekend, right?
Yeah.
So I think sometimes the times when it's hardest is when we're caught off guard.
Yeah.
When it's like, oh, wait, I just assumed we were going to try and do this thing. And so communication is super helpful. And then just recognizing that we can have lots of possibilities for a weekend at different seasons in our lives. And I also think sometimes the hard thing about weekends like this is sometimes it is hard to get together with a friend when other families are looking at it as a family time.
Yes.
But again, just being open to like, okay, well, that might present itself, or what will present itself might be a chance to just sit and read and just ignore the whole world for a while or watch some movies, right? Just have some individual time. So
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah, but isn't it funny? And really 3 years ago, we totally would have had plans for Labor Day weekend.
Right.
Right. So it is just funny how life shifts, and this is kind of our phase right now, and trying to just be open and embrace it. Well, and really too, they have talked about golfing this afternoon. My son has done really well the last couple weeks with golf. And so it's fun to see his progress. Like, I'm not on the golf course. I don't know how to golf, but I can sure be excited for him and cheer him on as he's doing something he loves. So it is just kind of a unique situation this weekend, but I can still feel joyful that I get to support in some ways. Thanks for coming to Meeting of the Moms. We hope it made your load a little lighter. We'd love to hear what's on your mind. Send your celebrations, takeaways, and suggestions for future topics to momswithamyandlorna@gmail.com.
If you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe. If this isn't the right fit for you, we wish you well on your journey. Until next time, I'm Amy Rasmussen.
And I'm Lorna Adams. See you next week at Moms.